Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by shipping cheap parts around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. Skip the tariff and snag yourself American-made clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today, it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Yes, I am. Welcome to Hour 3 of Freedom Fools on WBSM. I'm Brian. Glad to be with you. Great day outside. Not sure how many people are making their way to the beach, but maybe not warm enough to lie in the sand, but good day to maybe walk on the beach. The Brian's Beat quote of the day: much of the social history of the Western world over the past 3 decades has been a history of replacing what worked with what sounded good. Much of the social history of the Western world over the past 3 decades has been a history of replacing what worked with what sounded good. Thomas Sowell with that quote. So I'm looking over things and waiting to hear from Michael King, who was supposed to be joining us during this hour. So since Michael isn't with us at this particular time, let me start. I listened to ABC News, and there was a little piece about Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk shooting, but nothing whatsoever about what is written up in the New York Post. In case you missed it, I was forwarded information from Ken Pittman, and it was an article from the New York Post which basically stated that this guy, Tyler Robinson, the alleged gunman, was living with a transgender partner. Now, when I hear the word partner, let me back up a little bit. So you could be living with a transgender, but when you throw in partner, that sounds like you're together, and you may be the only two renting that unit. Whereas you could have, an apartment of 3 or 4 people, or even an apartment of just you and the other person, but the person is transgender and is just a roommate, no relationship. When I hear partner, then I'm thinking there is some type of relationship here. Bottom line is always the bottom line. ABC is not reporting it for whatever reason. I haven't seen anything on the TV making any statement of such. New York Post, maybe the Post is just ahead of the game. ABC News didn't say anything. 508-996-0500. What say you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
When the Twin Towers fell, Congressman Tom Daschle made a statement, which is in Isaiah chapter 9, about the bricks falling, but we will build with hewn stones, and the sycamores are cut down, but we will build with cedars, which is a statement of arrogance and pride against God. If you look at the whole chapter, Isaiah chapter 9, and Tom Daschle.
So, to be clear, you think Tom Daschle was what?
He was actually saying something that was said in the Bible on the bricks are falling. The towers were falling. That means the bricks were falling.
Okay.
In other words...
Yes, go ahead. This is what I'm trying to hear you say.
What man builds with his hands, but God builds with his hands, without hands.
Okay.
That's the real church.
Okay, so Tom Daschle at that time was what, minority, the minority leader of the U.S. Senate?
I don't know particularly, but I know he's a congressman and said that. If you happen to look on Google, you will see what he said and how it pertains to Isaiah chapter 9. Rather than humbling itself before God, it's by pride and arrogance, and not only pertaining to that, but all the countries in the world and their rulers, they're not in the governments of the world, contrary to the government of God. If you look in Isaiah 9, it explains it perfectly. But
the U.S. Constitution and the United States were not really ruled by Isaiah 9. So I'm trying to see how this is all going to fit in there. What do you really think Daschle was trying to say in his message?
That
yes.
They will not do things God's way, but their own way. They'll fight.
But who is the they?
The world, the whole world.
Okay, so it was the world against the United States on 9/11.
The world, the whole world against God. All their governments. They don't do things. If you look in Isaiah chapter 9, it says, "Unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders."
Well, what about the nations that? They pray 5 times a day. They're always thinking about God.
That's true. They are. Unfortunately, they're worshiping in ignorance the true God, the one that raised Christ from the dead. They're not doing the will of God like Christ did, as an example for us to walk in his footsteps.
Well, what do you mean they're not? You're making it sound like they're doing something irregular or wrong.
Exactly. That's why.
Well, what is it? What are they doing wrong?
They do not do things. They don't deny themselves, pick up their cross, and lose their life for Christ's sake. Humbly, willingly lay their life down like Christ did. No man took it from him. He willingly laid it down, as in John chapter 10.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe. I'm not a Muslim, but there are plenty of Muslims that don't get into any of the violence, leaders that believe that they are following God's will. But to say they're not doing it right, what's right and what's wrong? We know criminal what's wrong, but now you're splitting hairs. I appreciate the call. 508-996-0500. We were following up to hour number 2, where we were talking about 9/11 not being taught, not being mandated to be taught in Massachusetts schools. The governor is for it. The lieutenant governor, why am I even telling you the lieutenant governor is for it? As if she's got some kind of sway. But the lieutenant governor is for it. I'm for it. I don't know how many people listening to this show today would not be for 9/11 being a part of the curriculum. History class, I would assume history class is the proper place for it. And it's understandable that on 9/11, there will be a teaching moment, but when you learn about 9/11 in school, you don't necessarily have to learn it on that particular date. For instance, when my class, the students that I grew up with, when we learned about December 7th, we didn't just talk about December 7th on December 7th. There were plenty of reasons to reflect back to World War II and how we got introduced to World War II. Now, I admit I'm kind of a history buff, so I know the bits and pieces that we were taught about World War II, our entry into World War II, and what was going on in Vietnam at that particular time, because there were ways to compare it. So my point is, we learned quite a bit about December 7th without actually having to talk about December 7th, the date itself. So I think it's the same thing when we talk about 9/11. I have to be honest with you. In fact, this is what I would like to do. You can do it now, or you can wait and do it at the break. But if you have children in the schools, doesn't matter what school district, I am curious if they have a history book and what that history book states about September 11, 2001. And for that matter, is there more than a paragraph, more than a couple of pages, more than a chapter? Because as a previous caller stated, 9/11 changed this country. We ended up getting a Patriot Act because, there are plenty of teachable moments from 9/11, 2001, Patriot Act, Afghanistan, Iraq. And you might be saying, well, Iraq, it's the president fighting the war on terror, the war that he called war on terror, the war that, if I recall correctly, did not get a sanction from Congress, although Congress kind of voted to let him President Bush do pretty much what he wanted to do. So I think that there is a bona fide reason to have 9/11 in our history books. It should be more than, in my opinion, more than a page or two, probably more than a chapter. I haven't seen a school textbook, history book, in a long time. So I don't know. In fact, I don't know if they even give out textbooks anymore. This stuff might all be online. I really don't know. But not only should the kids be learning about 9/11, but they should also be learning about the ramifications from what happened on September 11, 2001, because this nation, and look, we ended up getting a Department of Homeland Security out of it. A lot of things changed was there a TSA, Transportation Safety Administration, prior to 9/11? So I come back. So many different things changed because of 9/11. And my fear is, because rarely do we talk about Pearl Harbor anymore, and that's been, 74 years? Am I right about that? 74 years? 84 years. 84 years. These kids today, all the smart technology that they have, they're not learning about history. They're not learning about the Constitution. By the way, did you know that Constitution Day is coming up this coming week? Yeah. Any bets that it won't be on the agenda in school, whatever day it is? What are the days? What are the school days coming up this week? But if the kids aren't learning this stuff, then we turn around and say they're ignorant, or we wonder why they seem to be ideologically more to the left or more to the right instead of knowing what is. Well, we can turn around and blame the schools. We can turn around and blame DESE. But maybe we need to look at ourselves and say, well, why aren't they learning this? Maybe it is something that needs to be taught at home. My guess is many parents do talk about it. My kids are grown. My kids, when 9/11 happened, one was in 5th grade, I believe, and the other was in 2nd grade, maybe 1st grade. They were watching it on TV. Now, I could sit here and say, yeah, they might have been traumatized from watching planes flying into buildings, but they damn well know about 9/11. 508-996-0500.
And in our school, we never have any delinquency problems. We never have any dropouts. We never have any disrespect for authority or disrespect for parents. We don't have any kind of juvenile delinquency. All of the things that the regular school system is complaining about, we aren't plagued with those same problems in our own school.
There are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. And whatever you do to deal with one of man's flaws, it creates another problem. But that you try to get the best trade-off you can get, and that's all you can hope for.
Welcome back. So I'm going over this New York Post article. I said, let me just go over it one more time. It's not that long. And basically, it talks about the fact that Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, well, I'll just read it to you. First of all, it's got a Washington byline. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female, a law enforcement source confirmed to the Post Saturday. That individual, who is yet to be publicly identified, was identified by somebody else by the name of Twiggs. Lance Twiggs, 22, and identified because Lance Twiggs' address is the same address where Robinson lived. A relative of Twiggs confirmed to the Post today that, yes, they were roommates. Again, roommates, partners, could be splitting hairs here. But that's all to the story. And I say that's all. There are pictures of Tyler Robinson. I don't see any pictures of, here we go. We do have a picture of Lance Twiggs. What does it mean? I know that there's a tie-in, and there's also a picture. Again, it's all confusing. To me, anyway. I know that there are brighter light bulbs in the pack. But there's a picture also of a kid who seems to be celebrating. He's got a long beard. And it's written up as if he is cheering right after Charlie Kirk is shot. Could be. But I don't see, at least as I look at the picture, I really don't see anybody running away. Here, again, New York Post. Mystery bearded man who appeared to cheer shooting of Charlie Kirk claims he chanted USA to create distraction. Okay. So, I'm looking at this picture, and it's difficult to ascertain that people are running away from the scene, as if to say the guy is cheering, going hurrah, but not necessarily tying that into the shooting. Not saying that it isn't. What I'm saying is it's very difficult to tell glasses on or glasses off. So I'm deeply concerned. I'm concerned. Here's my thought process here. I don't know what's going to happen to this guy, Tyler Robinson. We've heard stories that the father had to fight to keep him alive until authorities could arrive. We've heard that Tyler Robinson isn't talking to anybody. I've been listening to reports. I haven't heard that he's under any kind of suicide threat other than they probably took his shoelaces. I've heard that he was conservative and he fell in with the group of ultra-conservative people. And yet I'm hearing folks tying him in with liberal folks and tying him in with now a transgender fellow who is a roommate, we can ascertain, but we don't know how close they were. Again, lots of holes to the story. Nothing has really been stitched up. 508-996-0500. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
What's going on?
Well, I'm trying to figure it out just the same way as the next person. You know what else I'm trying to figure out? I'm trying to figure out how the heck the Commonwealth of Massachusetts does not mandate in the curriculum 9/11.
Wow, I didn't know that. Are you kidding?
No. 14 other states do. But the state that had 3 of the 4 planes take off, the state that had quite a few people die from from the hijackings and the crashings. It's not to say that teachers don't teach it, but it's not mandated. How is that?
Well, maybe Ilian Omar is the one that puts together the curriculum, because she said somebody did something, remember? So she wasn't sure. So maybe they don't teach something they're not sure about. So that was her comment about 9/11. Somebody did something. So I don't know if you remember that.
I've heard.
I was just curious. Okay, I figured you would. I was just curious whether you heard about the New York Post report that came out at 2:30 this afternoon about the shooter Tyler Robinson and his that he lived with a transgender partner.
So you didn't hear me just talking about that?
Oh, I did not. I couldn't get to you soon enough, sir. So
All right.
you did catch that.
Yeah, I was just commenting on that. So he was living. I heard that if you read, I just read the Post article is very short, but it mentions that he was living with the partner. Another one says a roommate, of which the roommate and partner could be one in the same. But nobody else seems to be talking about this.
Yeah, well, the Post is a little on the right side, and I'll wait till there's some other. But then again, some of these places get sources, and they get information out before getting official things out. But let's just say this is the case. I mean, we had a transgender shooter in August in Minneapolis. We had a Nashville shooter in 2023. Denver shooter in 2019, Alec McKinney. And I'm not saying that that's like the source of all these shootings, but it's kind of a very unique. Not a lot of Portuguese shooters out there. It's not a lot of.
How do we know? Maybe they trans their name too.
I don't know. Maybe I don't think so, though. But it's just again, the shooters that are actually the shooters, I feel have mental illness and the mental illness issues. Obviously, the person, if there was a person with Tyler Robinson, then that person's not the shooter.
Well, Tyler, to the best of our knowledge, has not changed. So why do we throw him into this category?
Because it's a motivation, obviously. That was one. He wrote it on one of the bullets. I'm if I may venture to correct, we don't know who wrote on those bullets. Oh, well, okay.
Fair?
I'm sure it wasn't his dad or his mom.
Well, you know what? But yeah, that's a good assumption as any other, but it's also an assumption that he's the one who did it.
Oh, I'm not judge or jury, so I'm not too worried about it. Looks like he did it, but considering he confessed it to his father, which I guess you could say that.
Did he confess that to his father? That he wrote on the bullets?
Well, maybe his transgender roommate partner wrote on the bullets. We don't know, but the fact is that the facts are there. The bullets have the right names on them, so it doesn't really kind of matter who wrote on them because he was using them. Or maybe he wasn't using them.
Thank you for finally coming to that. This is still being pieced. It's still being pieced together.
I know. But we can always make these logical leaps.
I know. We always do.
It's Occam's
But I expect
right?
more from you.
Come on.
I expect a lot more from you.
Look, if you and I were both lawyers, then we'd have to tighten it up a lot. But no, look, they'll go through the process. And somewhere in the middle of the process, people will say that there's a lot of conspiracy theories, and 6,000 conspiracy theories will come out. And I already have friends that. You
mean like the one that he's got a transgender roommate partner?
Well, somebody put it in writing, so they're going to have to retract it.
Oh, I know.
Right? I mean, the fifth column or the fifth, whatever they're called.
So how did the gun get out of the building there?
I don't know. I mean, he apparently there that the FBI reported. Now that's not me. The FBI was saying that he brought the gun down and wrapped it up and threw it in the woods. And that was comments that he had put on Discord to people that he was talking to Discord about this. That didn't actually know who he was, knew him on Discord under an alias. But, I mean, I'm on Discord. I didn't do it. That's for sure.
I'm on Discord and I didn't do it.
There you go.
Not only that, I'm on Discord and I didn't read it.
Yeah, there's so many Discord channels. Who the heck would ever find it? But, it is what it is for now. It's just information. We'll learn as we go. But, the thing that always bothers me in this is that we never really get the truth. We get a lot of things that are added in or adjusted or changed or whatever. I mean, if you get the president that's trying to put his finger on the death button this far out from a trial and everything else, I really can't stand that, to be honest with you. He shouldn't be projecting that he wants the death penalty to be used, especially it's not a federal thing; it's a state issue. And I frankly I don't want him to be under the death penalty. I think that the eye for an eye thing, God is the ultimate, vengeance is the Lord's, so to speak, and we shouldn't be taking life. But I don't have a problem if he sat on a cot the rest of his life. I also don't want a martyr. The last thing we need is more martyrs, So,
well, I think we already have one being built right now, and that would be Charlie Kirk. But to your point, we could end up with two. Under the assumption that we've got the killer here.
Well, Charlie Kirk was de facto. I mean, he didn't plan to be the martyr.
No, he didn't.
But they did talk. Charlie Kirk did. There were a lot of people that asked him if he had gotten killed. What's this, or if he'd gotten shot, what's that? I mean, so there were a lot of discussions in advance about what happens if someone did attack him, because most of his events were fairly open access.
My guess, in speaking of that, my guess is that somewhere down the line, there were threats made against Charlie Kirk, and he responded in kind, maybe not enough.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Tim Pool? It does Timcast IRL, his podcast on YouTube, and Tim Pool is a pretty lightning rod figure because he's been around since the March on Wall Street, whatever that was called, where they
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street, yeah. But he was on the air talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, and then he had to stop. He said, "Oh, okay, everybody, we got to clear the room. We got another threat where people would threaten the building with a bomb, and obviously the police have to come in." And then Ben Shapiro, he's been for over 2 years now. He's had a full security team with him because he's been threatened so many times. So
speaking of Ben Shapiro, thank you for bringing that up. Speaking of Ben Shapiro, he is in line to take over for Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA. He's going to be doing those speeches that Kirk has been doing.
Well, he does stuff that's very similar, but he's not. First thing is he's Jewish, and most of Turning Point is Christian based. I'm sure he could do it. I'm sure he could run it. And he does have very similar. I mean, Shapiro's a super smart guy, and he does a lot of these same dialogues. He's hard to listen to because he sounds like a cartoon character, the way he talks. I think that someone
pretty rapid fire.
I think that his wife is actually going to be on the road and doing a lot that.
Whose wife?
She may not be
Charlie Kirk's.
Charlie Kirk's. Yeah, she mentioned in her last speech that, or in her last discussion, I can't remember where I heard it, was that she would be going on the road, and I think the next thing they have in December is some freedom rally in California. I don't know the name of the rally.
I don't know. I just heard earlier today that Ben Shapiro is going to be taking over, and we'll see what happens from there, because my guess is Ben is going to add a little more of the Israeli rhetoric that Charlie Kirk was leaning away from over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough to change the charter of what. That's why I was saying I think it'll be really tough to change the charter of what Turning Point is, because Turning Point is clearly about not only improving conservative voices, but improving people to bringing people to faith. So he was kind of doing both things with the students. It gets less reported about what he was doing with bringing people to faith, but that was part of the kind of the sidebar of the whole, thing that he was doing at all these. And that's why in the last year, you saw more people showing up with MAGA hats and looking more like conservatives. And because he just had a bigger audience, that's why they have 85 million followers in 500 offices and colleges. So
who's got 80? Oh, MAGA does. Okay. Oh, they had 85 million votes.
No, Charlie Kirk had 85 million followers worldwide.
Did he really?
When you add up, yeah, with all the social media stuff he was doing.
That's right. He is. He was a podcaster before he was a broadcaster. Hey, thank you.
Have a good day.
I do appreciate it. You too. 508-996-0500. That is right. Charlie Kirk. He cut his teeth in the podcasting world. Huh. So as I look at this, and I don't know as we get into Monday how much of this dealing with Charlie Kirk we are going to keep talking about. I think if things develop, if there are twists and turns, we will keep going down that particular road. I am curious, like I believe the next person. Nobody really thinks about Turning Point USA and who might take over. That is a lucrative position. Now, Charlie Kirk was the CEO and the founder, but the person that's going to be taking over has to, you would hope, deliver a similar message. And we also have to wonder what else might be added to that message. I do anyway. Maybe you don't. And I'm still baffled. I mean, Charlie Kirk was, as I've stated before, yes, a lightning rod, but not someone that I would consider someone that would be murdered. You think over the days, in my life, Dr. King saw that it was going to come. Malcolm X knew it was coming. It's just a matter when. But Charlie Kirk, never mind skin color or anything like that. Yes, he was a lightning rod. There are lots of lightning rods out there. But not the type that you would expect somebody's going to try to shoot and kill. And yet it happened. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, I wonder why. But I do. I mean, I would hope that's what you want me to do, is to wonder why this happened to Charlie Kirk. But as far as these other stories that I'm hearing about killing and people happy about it, dancing up and down, and it's not something that yours truly would do. But in the USA that we live in today, sadly, I expect it. I expect people to act this way, and I'm not going to say it's because of social media. I think that we're numb. We're numb to school shootings. we may not know the exact number, but in saying that to you, why don't you know how many school shootings there have been? The school year just started a month ago. The reason why you don't know how many school shootings have happened is because there's so many of them. And there were so many last year. You are numb to the fact that this crap happens. You expect it to happen. You expect it to be the third or the fourth story in the news. So, Charlie Kirk, in a day or two, a sad reality. As I said before, not my cup of tea, but he was a great talk show host. He's going to be sorely missed by staff members and by our listenership. But the world at large, the nation at large, we move on. And there will be, sadly, I'm going to knock on wood that it doesn't, but and I know there are going to be other shootings. And now you've got the president who is going to try to remedy these types of shootings, which seem to be committed by folks on the liberal or on the left, without making any mention of shootings that have happened to victims that are members of the left or the liberal wing or the Democratic wing. It goes on to, let me take you back. When Nancy Pelosi's husband got beaten, remember what your comments were about that. That's how chillingly numb we have become to violence. We are the most violent nation outside of nations that are actually at war. We are the most violent nation, and we can't even sit here and say it's because of illegals coming into the country. Take all the illegals out of the country. We're still the most violent nation out there. We go back and forth with South Africa, of all places. And we never, we're so numb to it, we don't even think about it. Chicago, they've got a problem. Washington, D.C., they've got crime. L.A., Oakland, San Francisco. Yeah. But everywhere, New Bedford isn't high up on the food chain with crime, but we've got it here. Fall River's got it over there. Other nations are, I can only imagine what they think about the United States and the crimes that are committed here. It's really sad. I don't have a remedy. I don't know that the president's going to be able to come up with any type of remedy. But what can I say? He's going to give it the old college try? I would ask you to do this at this particular time. We're going to have to wait a couple of days for the president to announce what he is going to try to do. There are a few things that I would like you to make note of. If we find out early on Monday, I'm in for Barry on Monday, and I'm also in for myself Monday evening. So we can talk about it if it happens on Monday. If not, we'll talk about it Tuesday, whatever day the president comes up with his plan. But here's what I would like you to look for, and I'm going to be looking for it also. 1, how targeted is what the president is proposing to do. So does it affect all Americans? Or more to the point, how does it affect all Americans? Or is he targeting particular groups? Liberals, trans folk. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm saying keep your eyes and ears open. Number 2, does this mean extra forces, National Guard, trying to transition more police on the federal side, more of a federal type of takeover to make this happen? Not saying it is. I want you to keep your eyes and ears open for it. And then we can rationally have a discussion about it. Because I think this is sometimes politicians use the line, don't let a good problem go unused. And this is a chance for them to make government even larger. I'm not saying the president's going to do this. He's always talking about draining the swamp, or he used to always talk about draining the swamp. So let's see what happens. Let us be proactive this particular time around.
When you devote major effort and major financial, economic, and political capital to getting the integration to happen, you don't have very much left to make education happen.
Probably the cost will be half, and the education will be maybe many, many times better.
Speaking of education, if you happen to run into a relative, school-aged relative, ask them what they learned about 9/11 on 9/11, and if it's a part of the curriculum. It should be. So take some time this weekend and ask. 70 in Berkeley, 70 in Mattapoisett, 69 in New Bedford. I'm Brian, back at noontime or after O'Reilly on Monday. Adios.
Traveling around from town to town. Sometimes I think I'll settle down, but I know I'd hunger to be free. Roving's the only life for me. Adrift in the world is my friend. I'm traveling along the road without it.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by shipping cheap parts around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. Skip the tariff and snag yourself American-made clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.